thank you so much for taking the time to come on today.
Thanks for having me.
So we've never met in person, but we just started talking. We have a mutual friend. So Ben, who produces this podcast, has done most of your music videos, and you guys are really close friends.
Yes, that's right. He's super talented. I just don't even deserve to be in his presence most of the time.
He would love to hear you say that. I know I talk him up so much on this podcast, and he's like soaking it all in. Everyone loves him. He is, though. He's so talented, and he's kind of the whole package as far as like someone you want to work with. He is like loyal, he's on time usually, or if he's not, he's like, I'm gonna, like stressing out, and does what he says he's gonna do, and is so talented. And yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah. Yes. He's
And
an all-around good guy.
all around good guy. And you are very talented yourself. So you're a singer songwriter, you play guitar, you have a lot of guitars.
I do. I have a lot of guitars. Yeah.
Yeah, you are very talented, and I'm glad that I'm thankful you took the time to come on and talk, because I've heard a little bit about you, and Ben has told me a little bit about you. I know you're from Ohio, and I know that you came out to LA a few years ago and pursued music and have made a name for yourself. And I know you just had an album come out last year, Raised on Porn, and I kind of want to later talk about just your writing process and how a few of the songs that I just thought, God, how did you like come up with these songs, and like where did that come from? And so but I would just love to hear your story of like kind of where you came from and how you discovered that you had this talent and this passion for not only singing and playing guitar but songwriting. And I just can't imagine that comes easy for most people, but I feel like for you it probably just is natural. So I just love to hear your story.
Sure. Yeah. I grew up around a lot of music because my mom is a jazz vocalist. So yes, I am from Ohio. Both of my parents grew up in Ohio. But my parents actually moved to New York City when I was 4. And so we traveled back and forth between New York City and Ohio the whole time I was growing up. And then I actually went to high school outside of Philadelphia. My mom has been pursuing this music career that she kind of started while I was growing up. Like she had been doing it before I was born, and then kind of gave it up to have a family, and then got back into it kind of like later in her life. So that was really inspiring to me at a young age to see like a woman really like just take life by the balls and like just be like, well, I'm gonna go do my thing. And it was great.
You knew her. I mean, you obviously probably knew growing up that she had this talent, and she sang and everything, but then you knew her as mom probably. And and so then for her to just kind of go back to how she probably was before you were born, that was kind of cool to see, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was a whole transformation there for sure. That was kind of beautiful to watch. And, she spent some time touring while I was growing up with the Harry James Orchestra, and got to go really all over the country and like crazy places. I guess that inspired me at an early age. And I started playing guitar in 5th grade because my brother wanted me to play guitar so he could solo over me playing guitar. And then he was like, well, let's make a rock band. So I was in like this rock band with like these older boys, and I thought I was like Gwen Stefani, and we were like playing shows like when I was in middle school and stuff. And I always tell this story, but like I basically would be like trying to sell tickets to like these middle school kids to like these shows in like downtown Cleveland and Akron on like Wednesday school nights. And they'd be like, no, I have to go to school the next day. I can't go to downtown Cleveland to your Battle of the Bands. We did a lot of that. And I wrote my first song in 7th grade. which was about heartbreak, of course. Um, and it was really corny, but people liked it and laughed at it in a way, but like also like they thought it was like endearing or whatever, I guess. And I liked getting that response from people. Like I liked thinking, oh, I can make something, and people will have a direct reaction to that, and it makes them and me feel good. So I guess you get off on that or whatever. So the song was called "Scattered Dreams." And the last line was, "You'll wish you would have stayed back in the 7th grade with me." And yeah, I don't know. I guess I just kept doing it after that, like therapeutically in a way.
That's pretty amazing to have that outlet. And in 7th grade, like I hear you. Like in 7th grade, I thought I was so in love with this boy and like got my heart broken, and I
well, you were.
It's like
our hormones are so intense then, and like our feelings are so much more intense, because like all those hormones and these chemicals are all brand new in our bodies, and they're just surging with like excitement, and everybody's like, oh, I can't believe she was only 16 when she won that Grammy and wrote that song, like about famous people. But that is when you get your really good stuff. I mean, in my opinion. Not that you can't write good stuff as you get older. Of course you do. It's just that those songs can be some of the most intense because, I mean, God, teenagers are like terrifyingly intense.
Yeah, I know. It's really true. It's true. And I think that I think teenagers just love so hard and so deep because they haven't been jaded yet or hurt, and so they just like give it their all, and they also, I think, need an outlet, and so the fact, and like that's where some teenagers go one way and some go the other, and so it's very cool that you had this outlet of writing and music. So wow, so you and your brother were really close then, it sounds like. And he's also musically talented, like you and your mom.
Yeah, he is. He actually lives in the Republic of Georgia now, the country, and he still does. He does kind of like techno music, and he like DJs, and but he's like in commercials now over there. He did like this Lowenbrau, the beer commercial recently, and he's a cool guy.
That's awesome. So it sounds like your family is just really talented all the way around.
Well, I guess we think we are.
No,
if you're delusional enough, you just keep going with
it. So your mom is still doing music as well, and your brother's doing his thing.
Yeah, I mean, my mom does like live streaming concerts and stuff still, and yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So growing up, like being kind of, it feels like maybe ahead of your time, like, or like, I guess mature in a way, like you already kind of knew, like you want to do music, you were a songwriter, you were kind of off doing your show. So how did that make like socializing in school and all of that, like how was that growing up?
I just people just knew I was obsessed with playing music, and my friends were good about like supporting me at shows and stuff. But then I got to high school, and I was in like a live music club where we like produced live music events on campus, and that was really cool. It's always been such a big part of my life. But then when I got to college, I actually had a bad experience with like a manager who, I don't know. I mean, he wasn't like horrible or anything, but I didn't really want to play music as much then, because I was pre-med and I was like really tired all the time. And, he's like, well, you got to hold up to your end of the bargain. I'm like, well, like, what if I just don't want to play music right now? Like, what's going to happen, But yeah, I guess it turned me off of the music industry a little bit. I mean, there's so many things that turn you off of the music industry, right? Because it's very hard to get the notoriety, like B, you know, if you don't get notoriety, you don't really make very much money. And I mean, yeah, it's just it's a tough business to be in.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I have a lot of like self-doubt all the time, you know, that you have to just work through. But yeah, in college, I was still playing shows until that kind of happened. And I just kind of fell out of music for a long time. And I replaced that interest in music and kind of self-expression outlet with fashion. And I wound up going to Parsons, the new school for design, to their master's program for a year.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, from pre-med to like music pre-med, like going to Parsons. I don't know. I was all over the place, but I actually have a journalism degree, and you know, I feel like I've used all of it.
I was gonna say that's so interesting. So you knew you were into music at a young age, and you wanted to pursue that. What made you kind of shift into like medical school?
Yeah, so I thought I would maybe want to go to medical school because when I was in college, you know, I have a fascination with, you know, science and especially like psychology and neuroscience. And I just thought, you know, that would be something I could be really passionate about, but it would also be, you know, steady and I could actually make a living. So, you know, I think as a struggling musician, you're always like trying to fill the void with something else, right? Like if you can't do music, what else can you do?
Yeah.
But I think for me, at least, it always like leads back. Like I can't get away from this. It's like a sick, I don't know.
That's good though.
It's
I mean,
an illness.
it sounds like it's like your destiny, and you try to like do other things, and then it just keeps bringing you back. Like, no, this is what you're meant to do.
Yeah, it's like a love affair that, you know, just keeps coming back. And that's a much more positive way of putting it. Yeah, I, you know, thought that, you know, I was going to be doing fashion for a long time because I got a job after my first year at Parsons with a fashion and travel magazine out in LA. And that's actually why I moved to LA, and I moved to LA without a guitar. So, yeah, it's nuts. Like I had totally like stopped doing it. But then when I moved to LA, actually, I moved into this building that had so many musicians in it, like rappers, like pop artists, whatever. And I made friends with them, like in the elevator, and they'd be like, "Why aren't you doing this? Like you're so good. Like we love your songs. You should be doing this." So I guess I just like listened to them, and I started writing like crazy in LA. And it's really because of Ben Shawnee, because he loaned me a guitar.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, to bring it all back to Ben. Yeah, he loaned me a guitar, and I remember just the songs were just like pouring out. And when that happens, like, I don't know, it's such a rush, and it's lucky, and yeah, but moving to new places like that and being inspired by new people, it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. It really is. It's amazing. So how did you and Ben end up meeting when you moved out here?
So yeah, I had lived in LA for like a few months before that longer term move, and I met him with that magazine. I was working for the same magazine he was working for, and then I moved back to New York because I got a bigger job offer, and that magazine was like, "Oh, okay, well, we're going to get you back eventually, so get ready to move back." So that did wind up happening, and
you write for the magazine?
yeah, I was writing for them,
Mm-hmm.
like travel and then like interviews, and you know, I got to meet a lot of interesting musicians that way, actually. Like Lindsey Sterling for one, amazing violinist.
Yeah, I love her. Yeah.
BB Rexa. Yeah, just a lot of cool people.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then so then to go back to the fashion, so you ended up going to school for that as well. So you've done everything, which is amazing. I love that because I feel like along the way you kind of use it all, and with music especially, like fashion is a huge part of that as well. And so do you still do fashion, or what do you?
Yeah, so I mean, like, I just have made it a point in my life to try to listen to the lessons and like try to key in on what is being taught to me right now. And like, you know, I think I paid a lot of attention when I was interviewing people, especially musicians, and they would say things like, I just never gave up. I just never took no for an answer. I just kept going. And then to me, that like clicked something, like switched something in me. And I realized like if you actually want to do something, you just can't keep giving up.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as fashion goes, yeah, I mean, I'm still interested in fashion as a form of self-expression. Um, and, I would call it more like style, I guess, because fashion has such a negative connotation. But I think, fashion's kind of materialistic, right? In the normal sense of the word. But it's such an art form too, and what we choose to put on our bodies and for what reason. There's like such a psychological component to it, and that really interests me. And I also just like pretty things. So yeah, don't
Yeah.
hate it.
No, I feel you. I feel you. Ben and I started a clothing line during the pandemic, and it's more of a, because I'm a trainer, and we have this podcast, and so with it, we released a little like lounge wear and like workout.
Athleisure.
Yeah, and workout clothes, and it's fun, and we're just now starting to get into other things like ready to wear, and it's so much fun because I feel you. I'm like, I don't know if this is kind of what you had in mind when you started doing all these other things like music and then med school and fashion and journalism and everything, but I just never liked the idea of being known for one thing. I did photography full time right out of high school, and everyone knew me as like, "Oh, you're the photographer," and I loved it for a little bit. And then just doing it full time as a job, it kind of became less fun, because some days you wake up just like writing, I'm sure, or performing, and you're like, I don't feel like being creative today. I just don't want to. But then when you have a shoot or you have a wedding or whatever it is, like you have to do it, and people are like, paying you a lot of money to do this, and it's like a wedding especially, you get like one shot at it, you can't mess it up, and I just became less fun, and I thought, I don't want to be known for just one thing. So I went off and I tried all these other things, and like I've in the last few years learned drums. I really had always wanted to learn, and so I actually hit up Travis Barker on Instagram, and I'm like, I want to learn drums and I want to learn from the best. I don't even know if you'll read this, but I just thought it doesn't hurt to ask. And he's like, yeah, come on over next week and I'll teach you. I'm like,
Are
to
you
your
serious?
house?
Oh,
And he's
that's
like,
so
yeah.
sick.
And I'm like, okay. And it was like an episode of Cribs. He like opens his door and he's like, hi, I'm Travis. And I'm like, hi. Like it was just like one of those LA moments where you're like, I can't believe this is happening. And then, and so he was my drum instructor for, gosh, like 3 years maybe. And
Oh my
um,
God.
yeah, and it was a really cool time. And then like through that, at the same point, like around the time I met Ben, I got into flying trapeze and hip hop dancing, and I was like at Millennium all the time. And I it's like, and now like fashion and the podcast, I've always wanted to do all these other things and fitness, and I've just always hated the idea of being known for like one thing. And so that's like what I'm learning about you. I really love that you kind of took all these things that were inside you and you're like, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to explore this, and maybe it doesn't work out and maybe it does, but I like that you have kind of found all these different outlets that you like in one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, your story is super inspirational, and I like that you say, you don't want to be known for just one thing. I think for me, I've mostly been more confused. I wish I could say that it was like you, and I just knew that I wanted to do that. But yeah, I mean, I just think we never stop learning, and and if you do, like, that's not great. So yeah, I don't know. We get one shot at life, and I think, we should soak up as much knowledge as we can, and then try to use it to help people or inspire people or whatever
Yeah,
you
no,
need
I
to do.
totally agree. And thank you. Yeah, I totally agree with that. So I kind of wanted to talk about now, like the songwriting. Like you said, when you moved here, all the songs just started pouring out of you. So I've listened to a few of your songs, seen some of the music videos that I know Ben has shot a lot of them, and I think they're amazing.
Thanks.
So one of the songs that stuck out to me, and I was just chose a few that, like, if you want to talk about like your inspiration from them, that would be awesome. But I heard Numb. So where did that inspiration come from?
So, yeah, a lot of people think that's like about kind of being like numb to the music industry or like numb to music. And I don't know why, but yeah, I mean, like I could get with that. It could be that if it's that to them,
Mm-hmm.
But really, it came from a relationship and starting to just not feel anything anymore. Um, and especially when that person really wants from you, but you're not able to give anything emotionally anymore. You've kind of like exhausted your internal resources. So that's what that was about, in the most general sense, I guess. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I like it a lot, and I think that a lot of people can relate, and that's kind of how I took it, was a relationship. Um, and yeah, I just how is it easy for you to sit down and just write? Does it just kind of come natural to you when you're going through something? It's like writing in a journal. I picture it, and like you just start
Yeah.
writing, and it makes you feel better,
Yeah, it's
like
exactly
therapy.
like that. Especially because, when you write something, you can take something that's so negative, like the way you're feeling or whatever, and turn it into something really cool and
Yeah.
positive. So it's like great to have that ability to transform something.
Hmm.
And then, even if you had a really negative experience with something, you can still look back and say, well, I wouldn't have that song if it wasn't for that. So I'm glad that happened.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's a really great thing about writing, and yeah, it definitely is a therapeutic thing for me. Usually, it starts with like a chord progression, and then I will like hum until I think of lyrics for it.
Oh, that's amazing. See, I
Yeah,
wish I had that ability. I don't. Like, there's so many things that go in my head, and I'm like, with it, whether it come, I don't know, like, but it's for me at least, it's really tough to actually get it down on paper. Like when I was younger, I remember thinking, I wish I could write poems or something because I needed some sort of like outlet. But for me, it was painting because I couldn't, I could paint. And I think I was pretty artistic as a kid. Like I did a lot of like ceramics and all these different types of like painting, like on canvas and stuff. But like to have that ability and to come so natural to just like pick up a guitar and like hum until something comes to you and then have that be so therapeutic. I think that's amazing. um,
yeah,
yeah,
it's
so
lucky.
I also want to talk to you about good behavior, and I love, or yeah, good behavior, and I love the music video. I
Thank
absolutely
you.
love it. Yeah, so how did that one come?
So yeah, good behavior. Like that was written a little differently because Dante Jukel, who co-wrote that with me, showed me beat he had created, and of course a beat includes like chord progressions and everything, and he showed that to me in the studio, and I was like, oh yes, this is everything, and I want to do something with this. So like we just sat down and I just like started, improvising on what he showed me, and came up with a melody pretty quickly. And I knew it was sexy, like, and I was kind of just thinking like, oh, it's gotta be something about like, can I get out on good behavior, like using like your sexuality as a tool, like almost, but like in a positive way. And yeah, we wrote that really fast. And all the haters would be like, yeah, I can tell you wrote that fast.
No, I like it a lot.
Yeah, I really like it. I love it. And it's a fun song, and we had so much fun writing it. It was, the thing about writing with other people is you have to be so comfortable with them, because you're just like putting yourself out there. You're like, I'm gonna have this come out of my mouth, and if they think it's shitty, like I have to be okay with them saying, no, that sucks. But
Yeah.
not that anybody ever does that to me, because I only have good ideas. But no, but like, you have just to be so secure with that person.
Yeah.
And
Because you have to get really vulnerable. Yeah. You have to get very vulnerable, and then be honest with each other if you like it or not.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
And be sensitive. If you don't like it, you can't just be like, nah, that wasn't good.
Yeah.
You gotta have some tact. Yeah.
So true. Yep. So you were in LA for a few years, and now you're back in where, Ohio?
Yeah, I'm in Cleveland right now.
Oh, in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that you released an album last year. You're working already on releasing a new album, which is very exciting. So what is it that you are like looking forward to in this next year and this new album?
Yeah, I'm really excited. This album kind of like explores more like mental health things. That album is called Everyday Existential Crisis. And we already talked about my life, and obviously it's like an ode to not knowing what you're doing, or not knowing if you're on the right path, and waking up every day and feeling like that and wanting to change it, or not knowing if you should change it. So yeah, that's mostly what it's about, and I'm excited to share it with people.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think a lot of people will be able to relate to that. I mean, there are days where I think even the most secure people wake up, and, and the most, successful people wake up and go, is this what I'm supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
I mean, I had clients this morning. They have everything. I mean, they have a mansion in the hills, and a helicopter, and a jet, and cars, and, everything. And sometimes they have those, like this morning, like, I don't know if this is what I'm meant to do. like really,
Yeah.
but I think that can relate to, I mean, everyone can relate to it, because I think as humans, we have so many things
Choices
that we could be doing. Yeah. And like you said, like life is short. We get one shot at it. Like some days I wake up and I think, should I just give it all up and travel? Should I just like go be a hippie and like backpack through Europe and like not care about security, like the security of like a job and money and an apartment and health insurance? I'm like, sometimes I want to just say screw it and like go, like, what is life really about? Like like what are we meant to do? Like, are we just gonna work until we die? Like, that's so depressing. And so
Yeah.
I look forward to hearing this new album, because I think a lot of people, no matter who you are, can like feel like when they wake up, like, should I be doing this? Should I not? Should I just stay here? What should I do? We have so many choices. So
Yeah, absolutely. I love your fantasy, by the way. That's really cool. I think sometimes I just want to fake my own death. And, or actually, you know what? Being part of the witness protection program would be so great. Wouldn't that be great? Just starting all fresh with the government's permission. It would be great.
I know, it would be great. Just move to a different country. You could completely start over. No one knows you. You can come up with whoever you want to be and just start over. Yeah, I think that's an amazing idea. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I'm really looking forward to your new album. You want to tell everybody where they can find you and your music?
Yes, if you just type in Madeline Rosene, Rosene, you can find me on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, and all the other places on the interweb.
Yes, awesome. And then, do you know when your new album is coming out yet?
No. Probably at the end of the summer.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to hearing it. Thank you so much, and I hope to meet you in person. You have plans to come back to LA anytime soon?
Yeah, I'll probably be there in June.
Okay, awesome. Well, we'll have to get Ben and I'll go out. Hopefully by then everything is like sort of back to some sort of normalcy, and I feel it's getting there. I see the light.
Yes, exactly.
Getting a little more normal. Gyms are open, restaurants are open. I'm like, okay, we're good.
Yes.
All right. Well, I look forward to meeting you and hearing your new stuff. Take care, and I'll see you soon.
Thanks, Morgan.
Thank you. Bye.